Yeah, good morning. So I'll briefly check the news. I like to check BBC News in the morning, and the headline was that Sean Connery has died. You probably know Sean Connery. He was in several of the James Bond films. He was the original James Bond. And the first film was called Dr. No. And, I was a youngster at the time, and my mom had to persuade the movie theatre people to let me and my friends in to see Dr. No at the movie theatre. So it's very sad to see that he's died, but he was 90, but he'd been ill. Anyway, I honor this class to Sean Connery. He was made a knight, so he was actually Sir Sean Connery. Today, maybe backbends. We'll work on a little bit on backbends, or the emphasis will be on backbends anyway. But we'll start off just start off in a nice seated position. We'll work on the breathing to begin with. Legs crossed, just resting the hands on the knees. Sit up nice and tall, eyes closed, and focus on the breath. Just start off with regular breathing. And just sort of observe yourself. We'll try and observe yourself. Imagine you're a little drone, looking at yourself, seeing how you're sitting here, and you want to get length in the spine. Seeing how the shoulders are. Shoulders are soft, but broadening across the collarbone. The head, try not to let the head jut forward. A lot of us do that. And we tend to get into that bad habit a lot when we're doing a lot of screen work. We're jutting the head forward. It's really bad for the neck, puts pressure on the neck. So try and get that length in the neck, chin slightly tucked, head back. And now bring more focus to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. As you inhale, pull that air in, fill the lungs, expand the ribs. Exhale through the nose, make that exhale just as long as the inhale. Long, slow, deep breaths. Trying to pull in a little bit more air, a little bit more oxygen on each inhale. So let's work on the neck a little bit. Start bringing the right ear to the right shoulder. Stretching out the left side of the neck. Just not forcing the head down, but just letting the weight of the head stretch the neck out. Take about 3 or 4 breaths. Inhale the head up. Exhale, bring the other ear to the other shoulder. Three or 4 breaths here. Inhale the head back up. And then we're just going to turn the head from side to side. So you're looking over one shoulder. Inhale to center, exhale looking over the other shoulder. Inhale to center, exhale other side. So just go side to side, not too quick, and you're trying to go with the breath, letting the movement of the head follow the movement of the eyes. And then just hold it on one side for a breath or two. Inhale back to center, hold it on the other side. Inhale back to center, and then bring the chin to the chest. Head back up, head gently back. And again, we're moving with the breath, chin to chest, and then we're slowly taking the head back. Always take the head back slowly. And if it bothers the neck, don't take it back too far. And then we're going to hold chin at the chest, breath or two. Inhale back up to neutral. Exhale, gently take the head back for a breath or two. And then neutral, and just work on the shoulders. So what we're going to do, we're going to come onto our backs, and we're going to do what I call a mini cat-cow. So we're going to keep the hips down, and we're just going to bring the lower back up off the ground and the lower back down with the breath. So come onto your back. So it's just like small movements. So we're keeping the hips down, and as you inhale, you're trying to pull the lower back off the ground. And as you exhale, you're pushing the lower back into the ground. If you want, you can have the hands on the hips, feel those hips moving. Inhale, lower back up. Exhale, lower back down. You're not bringing yourself off the ground totally. You're keeping those hips down. You're keeping the feet on the ground. We're not going into bridge yet. We're just getting used to those hip movements. We're keeping the tailbone on the ground at all times. Just getting used to that. Inhale, lower back off the ground. Exhale, you're pushing the lower back into the ground. And then come into neutral. Well, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to reverse the breath a little bit. So this time, as we inhale, we push the lower back into the ground. And as we exhale, the lower back comes up. Inhale, lower back down. Exhale, lower back up. Inhale, lower back down. Exhale, back up. Come into neutral. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to bring the hips up. So we're going to go into bridge. And we're going to come up on the inhale. And as you inhale, you push the lower back into the ground and you bring those hips up into bridge. Exhale, coming down. Lower back up. Inhale, lower back pushed into the ground. Hips up. Exhale, down. Lower back up. Inhale, push that lower back into the ground just before you come up. Exhale, down. 2 or 3 more times at your pace. Next time you're in bridge, hold bridge. Keep the gaze towards the ceiling. Do not gaze from side to side. Interlace the fingers. Walk the arms, hands closer and closer. Push the arms and the hands into the ground. Head pushed in. Feet a little bit close. So maybe 2 or 3 inches between the feet. And we're going to bring that left leg up to the ceiling if you can and if you want. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch legs. Other leg comes up for count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg down. Release the arms. Bring down the upper back, mid back, lower back. Extend the legs. Bring the hands behind the head. And we're going to bring the head up, supporting the head, and you're pushing the lower back into the ground, legs come up a few inches, and you breathe. So really push that lower back into the ground, engage that core for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we slowly come down and we take a breath or two. Trying to work that core, trying to get that core strength. Push the lower back into the ground, lift the legs up, lift the head up, breathe, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, and come all the way down. Release and relax. Okay, your choice. You can bring the knees in, keeping the knees bent, toes to the ground, or you can extend the legs. If this is okay for the back, keeping the legs straight, you bring the legs up to ceiling, and you slowly take them down, really engaging that core, pushing the lower back into the ground as the legs get lower, and then you're bringing them back up. Don't forget to breathe. Lowering the legs slowly, and bringing them back up. Lower slowly, you're pushing the lower back harder into the ground, more as you lower the legs. This is a tough one. As I say, if you need to bend the knees, you can bend the knees, and you can just pull the knees in towards the chest, and then the feet back down to the ground. Make sure the lower back is happy. If you engage the core, if you keep the lower back down, it should be fine. But you've got to use a lot of effort to do that. A couple more if you can. This is a tough one. One more. And then we bring the feet down. We take a breath or two. And then we do a full body stretch. Reaching with the arms, reaching with the legs. Walk the feet in. Take the feet slightly wider than hips. We're just going to work on the hips a little bit. Just taking the legs from side to side. It's like windshield wipers. Just working the outside of the hips a little bit. Knees back to center. We bring the left leg up to the ceiling, hold on to the back of the leg somewhere. And we're just going to point and flex the foot, just working on the foot a little bit. Maybe the back of the calf or the back of the thigh, doesn't matter which. We're just trying to give the feet a little bit of attention here. And then just circle the foot in one direction. Circle in the other direction, and then point and flex a few more times. And then we switch legs, holding onto the back of the other leg, point towards the ceiling, point towards the face, getting that foot moving, stretching out the back of the foot, the Achilles tendon, stretching out the front of the foot. And then circle in one direction. Other direction. And we point and flex a few more times. And then we bring that foot down to the ground. We switch legs again. This time we're going to just stretch out the hamstring a little bit more. So you want to try and keep the tailbone down. If you have a strap, you can use a strap, or you can just hold onto the big toe or the back of the leg. It doesn't matter where you hold it. So just gentle stretch the back of the leg. You want to really try and keep that tailbone towards the ground. Now in this one, if the lower back comes up slightly, that's fine. In fact, I prefer that. I actually try and bring the lower back up slightly as I'm stretching out the back of this leg. And we switch legs, stretching out the back of the other leg, holding on to the calf, wherever, or the foot. Maybe use a strap if you need to, or you can grab hold of the big toe, which I like to do. Lower back down. Eventually we're trying to straighten this leg, just getting a stretch. Nice hamstring stretch. Nothing too intense. And we release. Both knees come in. We hold onto the back of the legs. We rock ourselves up into boat for Ustrasana. And we're trying to get the back nice and neutral. Shoulders are relaxed. You straighten the legs as much as you want. You're breathing. So the next thing what I do is my knees are starting to point out. I try and bring the knees so that the knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. And I can feel that making my legs work a little bit harder. I'm opening the chest. Maybe bring the legs up a little bit higher. You breathe and then you walk the feet in. And we're back in a seated position. So we're going to go into a lunge, and what I'm going to do is I'll make a bit of cushioning with the mat. So I'm just going to fold the mat up a couple of times. So I've got a little bit of cushioning there. So we're going to do some dynamic movements. So I've got my left foot forward, my right knee on the mat, and I'm just going to lunge forward and then come back. I'm not straightening out that front leg, so I'm not going into the hamstring stretch. It's more of working on the front, the quads, the front of that back leg. And I'm just going into the lunge and back again. Lunge and back. I've done this a few times. If you remember, the first time I was doing this was when I discovered that Cirque du Soleil routine. And I picked this up from that one. So usually when I'm doing this, I'll do about 10 of these. I've lost count at the moment, but we're probably on about 10. So next we stay, keep that right knee where it is. We take the left leg over to the side. So my foot is pointing to the side, and we just go from side to side. And this is going to stretch out the adductors. And again, I'll probably do about 10 of these. And then we straighten the legs, that left leg, but this time the toes are facing forward. We come onto the forearms, and we're just bringing the body forward and back. Again, a little bit of a hip stretch, side stretch, adductor stretch, and we're stretching out the outer edge of the foot, that extended leg. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So we're back into the lunge, left knee on the ground, right foot forward, and we're just going to come forward and back a few times. And you feel that stretch. You don't want to move too fast, you don't want to overstretch, but you can get a little deeper with dynamic movements. And then the leg over to the side with the foot pointing to the side of the room, and then we go from side to side, pretty deep. Just go to your comfort level. As I say, this stretches out the adductors a little bit. And then we take the foot straight, with the foot solidly on the ground, foot is facing forward, forearms to the ground, and we're just going to bring ourselves forward and back. And then we slowly come back up. So straighten the mat if you have it folded. And we're going to come to the back of the mat. Inhale as the arms come up. Exhale, folding forward and down. And then we're going to start walking the hands, and we come into plank. And we're going to touch the opposite shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We walk the hands back towards the feet, and we roll up, inhaling as the arms come up. Exhale, mountain. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Walk the hands forward, coming into plank. Touch the opposite shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Walk the hands towards the feet. Roll up, inhaling. Exhale, mountain. One more. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Walk the hands forward. Plank. Touch the opposite shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold plank. So I'm going to get, we don't usually do this, but I'm going to get you to sink between the shoulder blades. And then come back up. Sink. And then back up. Sink. And then come back up. Downward facing dog. Walk the feet in slightly. Chin is tucked. You're looking towards the belly button. Take a breath or two. We bring the knees down to the ground. You're sitting on the heels, and we're going to slide the hands so the fingers are lined up with the toes. Fingers are pointing towards the front of the mat. Chin is tucked. We open the chest. And maybe let the head go back carefully. Breathing. If it feels good, you can bring the hips up. We bring the sit bones down to the heels. We slide the hands forward, back into plank. Chaturanga, inhaling into up dog, opening that chest, engaging the core. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk the feet forward. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, Samastiti. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold forward and down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, we plant the hands. We're in plank. Chaturanga. Inhaling into up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up to the ceiling. Extended down dog. Exhale, we sweep that foot through into warrior one. Take a bit of a back bend. Take a breath or two. Come into warrior two. So I take the feet a little bit wider as I come into warrior two. I'm trying to relax the shoulders. I'm keeping the torso nice and vertical. Reverse warrior. Hold reverse warrior. Don't hold the breath. getting a side stretch. I'm feeling in the side ribs, here in particular, the lower side ribs. And then we come back into plank. Chaturanga. Inhaling into up dog, make it a good up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up to the ceiling, extend it down dog. Exhale, we sweep that foot through. Warrior one on the other side, bit of a back bend. Warrior two. And keep those arms parallel to the ground, a little deeper maybe, and then reverse warrior, and we hold reverse warrior. We come back into plank. Chaturanga, inhaling into up dog, exhale, downward facing dog. Let's hold down dog for a breath or two. Chin is tucked, back in neutral, arms working. Back into plank, side plank, right hand to center. We stack the feet, we bring that left arm up. Don't forget, options here, you can have the bottom knee down or the top foot down in front of you. If you want more challenge, top leg comes up. You could even hold on to the big toe of that top foot and bring that leg up to the ceiling. We come back into plank. Chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Plank, side plank to the side, left hand to center, stack the feet, one of the feet down if you need to, or the knee down. Or we can bring the top leg up, or we can hold on to that big toe, bringing the leg up to the ceiling. We come back into plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog, and then we take child's pose. We come back up and we do this pose again where we bring the hands next to the feet, fingers facing forward, chin tucked. So I tuck the chin, I take my time, relax the shoulders, I open the chest a lot, trying to get that into that backward bend. Then the head goes back slowly, carefully. Then the hips come up. Breathe. And then we come back up. So we're going to go back into another lunge. So I'm bringing my right foot forward, stretching out the front of that back leg. Now, if you think about back bends, we want to get the chest open. We want to get the front of the hips open and the front of that thigh open. So lunges are really good to help doing a lot of that. You can actually do a little bit of a back bend here. You're feeling the opening of the front of that leg. That's where we're really trying to get to. So this, for most people, this is a good enough stretch. But some people, if you want to go deeper, you can take hold of that back foot. And what I'll do, I'll take hold of it with both hands, and I'll bring the foot in a little bit closer, and I can get into quite a stretch here. So if you try this, please don't let it be too intense. Takes a while to work up to this one. You could also do this against a wall. If you have that knee right in the corner of where the wall meets the floor, and you can get a really deep stretch if that's what you want, and that feels good. Okay, come out of it, come into a low lunge, hands on the ground. and we're going to switch. Let's do a quick switch. So I've got my fingertips on the ground, and I'm just going to get fancy. And then as we switch, we're going to engage the core, and we switch like this. The lighter you sound, it means you're working that core. You've got to really work the core. Try switching again. And again. So you should have the left foot forward. So lunge other side. Maybe take a little bit of a back bend. A little deeper. And if you want to go even deeper with that, stretching out the front of the leg, you can hold onto that back leg. And you can pull the leg towards you. Quite a stretch. Come into plank. Chaturanga. Inhale into up dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Hold down dog. Feels good. Almost like a resting pose. Breathe. Long deep breath. Come face down onto the mat. So face down. Pull my shirt down a little bit. And what we're going to do, let's come into Sphinx. So Sphinx is a nice, gentle back bend. And I always tell people, if you don't want to do Cobra or upward facing dog, you could just do Sphinx like this, especially if you have any back concerns. This is a lot easier on the back. And we're opening the chest. And then we're going to bring the head down. And we're going to bend the feet. And we're going to see if we can take hold of those feet. You can take hold of the feet, top of the feet below the toes, or the inside of the ankle. Then we bring the head up and the chest up. The legs are going to do all the work. So I'm pushing the feet into the hands, and then I'm trying to bring the feet up towards the ceiling. You're breathing. Try not to let the legs splay out. Try and keep the legs as parallel as you can. Don't forget to breathe. Can you bring the legs up a little bit higher? If you think about this, this is a little bit like wheel pose. This is bow pose. And then we relax. Bring one leg off the ground, keeping that leg straight. And then we're just going to pulse the leg, just bringing it up and down. And then we switch legs, bringing the other leg up, keeping that leg straight. And then we pulse. And then we release. Back into bow pose, holding onto the feet, lifting the chest up, push those legs into the hands, bring those feet up towards the ceiling, you breathe. Don't let the legs splay out. Sometimes they just splay out. Try and keep them hip distance apart. Keep those legs parallel. Work those legs, lift the chest up, breathe. And then come all the way down. Take a breath or two. Bring the hands either side of the shoulders. Come into child's pose. So we're going to go, what we're going to do next is we're going to go into pigeon. We'll be holding pigeon for a while. In particular, we'll be holding raised pigeon, because in raised pigeon, you're getting that back bend again. So come into plank. Get yourself into chaturanga, keeping those elbows in. Inhaling into upward facing dog, opening the chest, looking up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up to the ceiling, extended down dog. Exhale, we're sweeping that knee forward, coming into pigeon. So I like to keep that right knee outside the hip. I'm keeping the left foot in. If it bothers the groin, you can keep the knee a little bit more centered. And we're going to hang out in raised pigeon. You want to try and keep the hips nice and even to the ground, so don't be tempted to lean over like this or like this. If this hip is off the ground, right hip is off the ground, that's fine. The important thing here is to keep those hips nice and even. If this hip is off the ground, if you want, you can slide a book or a block underneath that hip. So we're just going to hang out here. This again, just like the lunges, we're stretching out the front of the back leg, but we're also getting a little bit of a back bend here. And this is another pose you could do close to a wall. If you like a foot away from a wall, you could push into the wall, get into that deeper back bend. Just to take the pressure off the back, we'll go into extended pigeon for a few breaths. So bring yourself down, rest the head, forehead on the ground. And then we're going to switch sides. So come back into raised pigeon, touch the toes of the back foot. Let's take down dog, hold down dog and walk the dog. Just pedal in the legs. And then we bring the left leg up to the ceiling, extended down dog. And then we sweep that leg forward. Take your time, position that left knee. As I say, I like it outside the hip, but bring it more center if you need to, if it's more comfortable. Then what I'll do is I tuck the toes of my back foot, walk that foot back a little bit, keep those hips nice and even. The more even the hips are, the more even the spine is. You're not putting a kink in the spine. We're just trying to get a little bit of a back bend here by staying in raised pigeon. And you can push that back leg, that straight leg, into the ground. Feel that leg working. And we're breathing, we're not holding the breath. And just to take the pressure off the back, we'll start hinging forward and we'll come into extended pigeon. And then we come back up. Okay, so we've done a lot of prep for back bend. We've done a lot of back bends of prep for back bends. Okay, but it's the prep for the deeper back bends. So we're going to work on camel, and then maybe we'll do the wheel pose. So the camel pose, and I've done this with you guys. We do this from time to time. We're high up on the knees this time, and usually I keep my toes tucked, so my heels are high. If you want to go into a deeper camel, you put the top of the feet on the ground. If you want to go into a camel, if you can't reach the heels, if you had blocks there, you could bring your hands onto the blocks. If you can't get onto the heels, you just support the back. Let's do this to begin with. We're high up on the knees. We're going to support the lower back with the hands. You want to keep the hips over the knees, and we're just leaning into the hands. So I start off with the chin tucked, and then the head goes back slowly. This is a camel prep. And then you can feel the front of those legs. That's why we did all those lunges, to open the front of those legs. And then we slowly come up, head comes up, and typically you rest in child's pose. So back bends, it's generating energy, it's generating heat, it's energizing. The back bends are good. Sometimes we need a little bit of energy, so it's a good thing to do in the mornings. Okay, so the full camel. And as I say, if you can't you want to keep the hips over the knees and you want the hands to the heels. If you can't do that, it's too much on the back, just support the lower back, just do what we did previously. But the way I get into it is I'll bring one arm up, I'll bring it to one heel, then I'll bring the other arm up, bringing it to the other heel. Then I'll shift my hips forward. Now, if you have a problem, if you way back like this camel, you want to bring those hips forward. If your hands are just dangling, just support the lower back. So once you're here, the head can go back slowly and really try and open the whole front body. Head goes back carefully, slowly. If you'd rather tuck the chin, that's fine. And you're breathing. I'm now really grabbing the heels, and I'm pulling the heels with the hands, and I'm pulling away at the same time. Hopefully that makes sense. Now when you come out, you keep the head back, you bring one arm up, the head comes up as you bring the second arm up, and then you come into child's pose. Nice back bend. Okay, one more time. We're on the knees, we tuck the toes. If you want to stay in a little bit of a higher camel, we keep the toes tucked, heels high. We bring one arm, I'm trying to keep it close to the head. Then I bring it to one heel. I bring the other arm up. Again, I'm trying to keep that close to the head. As I bring it to the other heel, I then shift my hips forward. Head goes back carefully, opening the chest, shifting those hips forward. Breathe. Take about 3 or 4 breaths. Feeling the whole front body opening, the ribs, the lower ribs opening, the belly opening. Lower back should be happy. You bring one arm up, other arm brings the head up, and we come into child's pose. Okay, if you want to have a go, I'm just making sure my mat isn't too slippy, because the other day I tried this, my hand slipped slightly. So if you want to have a go at wheel pose, you can do that, or you could just do bridge. So we're going to go onto our backs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come into bridge, and from bridge, pop myself into wheel pose. If you want to stay in bridge, you can. It's entirely up to you. So to get into bridge, you know this, we did this at the beginning of the class. You walk the feet in, and on the inhale, we push the lower back into the ground, and we bring those hips up. And then we walk, we interlace the hands, we walk those arms and shoulders in. So this is exactly what you do to set yourself up for wheel. You can hang out in bridge. If you want to try wheel, you bring the hands close to the shoulders. I then walk my feet in slightly. I'm going to stay on my toes, heels up. And I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to hop onto the top of my head. I walk the hands in a little bit closer, and then I'm just going to pop myself up into the wheel pose. I'm going to keep my heels off the ground. If you want, you can bring the heels down. But what I find is there's a little bit less pressure on the lower back with the heels up. I'm trying to straighten my arms. I'm breathing. This is the ultimate back bend. I'm trying to straighten the arms a little bit more. Now when you come down, before the head touches the ground, make sure you tuck the chin a lot so you don't crunch the neck, and then you slowly come down. Always be careful with the neck, always tuck the chin before you land, and you come into wheel. And come out of wheel. Pull the knees in nice and close, and we can just rock them side to side. If you want to try that one more time, you can. We just set ourselves up like we do for bridge. You're walking the feet in, you bring the hips up, you walk the shoulders in close, you bring the hands either side of you. I inhale onto the top of the head. I walk the hands in a little bit closer. Inhale up. And then this time I'm going to bring my feet to the ground. My back's a little bit warmed up, it's happier. And then I'm just going to try and straighten the arms a little bit more. You want to try and keep the legs parallel. You breathe. And then as I come down, I lift the heels up, I tuck my chin, slowly come all the way down. Knees come in. So wherever you're at, be on your back, knees in, just rock from side to side. What we're going to do next, we're going to rock ourselves up, we're going to come into a seated twist. So come into a seated position. So twists after back bends are good for the back. So seated twist, I think we did this last week. I think we worked on twists last week, right? So my right foot is pulled in. The leg can be straight if you prefer it. And we bring the other leg outside or inside the knee, and then we either hug the knee or we bring that arm out. It's a bit of a leverage. We get nice and tall, trying to get the back neutral into the twist, bringing the head back. I don't know if you heard that, I did, my back clicked a little bit. So sometimes you give yourself a little bit of a chiropractic adjustment here. Inhaling tall, exhale into that twist. Inhale, we unwind. And if both feet are in, we can walk through 360. So we've got the legs in the correct orientation to twist them to the other side. Remember, this foot is solidly on the ground, this left foot's inside or outside the knee. We're hugging the knee or we're bringing the arm outside the leg. We get tall as we can. Trying to bring the head back, coming into that twist. And then we unwind. Okay, good job everyone. Come into a seated position. So, next week, the clocks are going to change tonight, right? So they changed in the UK last week. So it should be a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to get up next week. Come onto your back. Pull the knees in as close as you can and just rock from side to side. Bring the hands onto the knees. Just make circles. Circles with the hands on the knees. Just massaging the lower back and the sacrum. Circle in the other direction. Come into happy baby. Feet are wide apart. Legs are either side of the ribs. You're trying to pull the legs down to the ground. Take hold of the big toes and see if you can extend the legs into a V shape, pulling the shoulders away from the ears and also keeping the tailbone on the ground. The legs may be straight, maybe knees bend if you need to. A lot of people need to bend the knees in this one. And I'm trying to get the tailbone closer, just like we did starting up when we were doing that mini cat-cow on our backs. We're trying to do a mini cow here at the same time. And we bend the knees. We straighten the legs on the ground. We're going to come into a full body stretch. And then a little bit of a side stretch, getting into that banana shape. And then we stretch out the other side. And then we recenter. Let's go into Supta Baddha Konasana, walking the feet in and bringing the soles of the feet together. And you can rest the hands on the belly, on the floor, or you can gently rest them on the thighs. Just encourage the legs down. If you prefer to go straight into Shavasana, that's fine. Keep length in the back of the neck. Head can be on the pillow if you want. Eyes closed. And we're just trying to relax here. At the same time, we're opening the hips. Whenever you're ready, Shavasana, extending the legs, bringing the arms either side of your palms face up, and just letting yourself sink into the ground, letting yourself get heavy. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then regular breathing. Just let every muscle, every limb relax. Let's just work on the hands a little bit. So stretch the hands out. Trying to get as much space as you can between the fingers. And then clench. Stretch out again. Clench. Stretch. Clench. Stretch. And then bring the hands, relax the hands. Walk the feet in. If you want to stay in Shavasana longer, that's fine. Otherwise, you walk the feet in and roll over to one side. Take a breath or two, keeping the eyes closed. And again, we keep the eyes closed as we come up into a seated position. Once you're in a seated position, inhale as the arms come up to the ceiling. Keeping the hands together, exhale, bring the arms down. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the palms together, keep the palms at the chest, and we'll take 3 Ums, inhaling through the nose. Namaste.